Just an update on the Foundation's COVID-19 Relief Fund. To date, the Foundation has given over $3.5 million of emergency aid to SAG-AFTRA members. You might have seen our Giving Tuesday campaign this last week, and we had an incredible turnout for that. It was about $15,000, which is a lot for the Foundation in one day. So that was incredible. So thank you to any of you who may have supported that campaign. We appreciate it. If you have applied for the relief fund, we're still receiving, about 100 applications a day, and they're taking a couple weeks to process. So please do be patient, and thank you for that. And if you're able to support that fund, we greatly appreciate your support. I'll go ahead and put the link in the chat momentarily. So if you are able to give, thank you for that. So without further ado, I'm going to toss it over to Heidi Dean, who's a social media expert for actors, and you're in very good hands. So enjoy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Heidi Dean. I am a social media expert for actors and content creators, and I'm so excited and pumped to be here to teach you guys 10 ways to clean up your social media so that you're making the best first impression you possibly can make. And first of all, I just want to just do a little shout out and thank you to the SAG-AFTRA Foundation. You guys are doing such amazing, amazing things for actors right now. So thank you so much. So, and I was going to say, let me know where you guys are joining from in the chat, but you're already doing it. So I see lots of LA, Manhattan, people all over Atlanta, Georgia. So wonderful, wonderful. And already a lot of great questions. We will get to as many as we can. Let's face it, guys, right? We're cooped up. We're stuck at home, right? And it's a great time to do some spring cleaning. And that's why Melissa wanted to bring this to you guys. I know myself personally, my house has never been cleaner, right? Has anyone else gone totally Marie Kondo on their place? My place looks fantastic. The reality is we're stuck at home, right? And the business is a little bit of a standstill. But the good news is when this ends, and it will end soon, right? The business is going to boom, okay? And people are going to need entertainment. And you will be able to take everything you learned today and make sure that your social media looks amazing when it does come back, okay? So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started with the social media spring cleaning. All right. See it? Okay, let me get my remote. All right, guys. So the business is so different than it was 5 years ago or even just 3 years ago. Today, casting, it happens fast and it starts online. These days, it's very possible that you're going to make your first impression online before you ever meet someone in the audition room, especially with the rise in self-tapes, and especially right now. Right now, the only place you are going to make your first impression is online. And that's why what you're going to learn today is so important. So let's use this as an example. So I want you to think about it. If 3,000 people are submitted for a role and they can only call in 36 actors, right? So first casting is going to call in the actors they know, like, and trust that are right for the role, right? They're also going to call in actors from agents and managers that they know, like, and trust. But if they don't know you and they have to decide who's going to get those last few spots, what do you think they're going to do? Where do you go when you want to find out something or someone? Where do you go? You Google them, right? And casting directors do the same thing. And guess what? Your social media is one of the first things to come up in a Google search for your name. So that means that your social media profiles are a direct reflection of who you are and the person they're going to work with for hours in the rehearsal room, for hours on set. So if you look like a rookie or unprofessional online, or what they find is really controversial, it can actually keep you from getting called in. And we're hearing this dialogue so much. If you guys have watched any Zooms from casting directors, producers right now, this is what you are hearing over and over and over again. And sadly, if they see a sloppy, unprofessional online presence, a lot of times they think sloppy, unprofessional actor, even if it is not the case, okay? So if you want to use social media to create more opportunities for your career, you need to make a positive impact with your first impression. This slide should say make a positive impact, not just an impact. All right. So keep in mind, guys, if you're auditioning for family-friendly networks or family-friendly projects, once you get further along in the audition process, especially if it's for a larger role of any kind, they will run a social media check to see if you're a fit for the show or if you're a liability. Also, commercials, especially if you're going to become any kind of brand ambassador. So think AT&T girl, think Flo, think Toyota girl, right? It's very standard now for a brand to do a social media check or a social media scan of your entire presence because your social media reveals a lot about you, right? So think about it for a second, guys. Just think about it. What does your first impression say about you? Good, bad, just think about it. Don't worry, by the end of today, we're going to clean it all up. So now that you know why your first impression is so important, I'm going to walk you through 10 ways, 10 things you can do the minute we are done here today to clean up your social media so it really works for you, not against you. Okay? So you're definitely going to want to take out a piece of paper and a pen to take notes if you haven't already. I see a couple people taking notes. Awesome. So number one, guys, the first thing we're going to do, which I know is going to answer a question I saw in the chat already. First thing you need to do, before we clean up anything, before we go into settings and before I show you how to untag yourself, we're going to do a bunch of stuff like that today. The first thing I want you to do is I want to make sure you do a general audit and make sure that you're on the right platforms for you. Okay? Look at what platforms you're using and make sure that they're the right ones for your career right now. You see, we got to choose platforms, guys, based on your career goals. Not just where your friends hang out. And depending on how old we were when we joined a platform, we may have joined in middle school, we may have joined in college, you know, who knows why we joined this platform, but it may not have been for your career. So it might mean you may not have to be on that platform. Now, I want to give you guys 4 questions to ask yourself. You're going to ask yourself these questions whenever number one, whenever a new platform comes along, which is awesome, right? So TikTok's up. Everyone wants to know, should I be on TikTok? Ask yourself these 4 questions, and they're going to answer the question for you. Should I be on this platform? Okay? So I want you to look at today, all the platforms you're on, all the social networks, and ask yourself these questions. Will this platform help me reach my career goals? Okay? Do the industry pros I know and want to know spend time there? Very, very important. Now, if you're on a show or you're in a show, do my fans spend time here? And does the show spend time there? Right? So like, obviously, if you're on a Shonda Rhimes show or Tyler Perry, or there's all these shows that live tweet all the time and you're not on Twitter, well, you are actually missing out on a big opportunity to grow your fan base and collect your fans, right? And lastly, is this a platform I enjoy? And I mean this after you learn the social media 101. Is this a platform I actually enjoy? Okay? So you have to learn the 101, give it some time, and then answer that question. Okay? And like I said, these questions are great for today, because you're going to decide, am I on the right platforms? Or should I leave some? Right? Should I put some on hold? But also, whenever that new Snapchat, the new TikTok, the new whatever, and there will always be a new social media platform coming along, ask these questions and you'll know if you should be on it for now. Okay? So maybe after answering these questions, you realize that, you know, that Facebook page, maybe it's not helping you reach your goals because it's not helping you with your networking for your career. And maybe it's zapping your energy, so you're not really enjoying it. So maybe you decide to focus on your Twitter and your Instagram for a little while. And truthfully, guys, it is better to totally rock one platform than to like half-ass and get burnt out on 4 or even 2. Okay? So choose the right ones for your career and your goals and give those 100%. Okay? Now, when you ask yourself these questions today, if you decide not to continue with the platform, okay, don't get rid of the account, especially if you have your name. You don't necessarily have to delete the accounts because, like I said, your career may change and you may find that platform useful down the road. So instead of deleting it, instead tell us where we can find you. Okay, and what you're seeing here is you're seeing Twitter and a Facebook page, not a profile. On Twitter, on Facebook pages, we can actually pin a post. You find it on both networks. You go to the post you want to pin to the top of your page. It's at the top right of the post. Just click on that little arrow. Okay, and it'll say pin this post to the top of your feed. And so what that does is it's going to pin this post to the top of Twitter, pin this post to the top of your Facebook page and say, hey guys, I don't play here often. I don't party here often, but I love Instagram, or I love Twitter. Go join me there, and you put the link there. Okay, guys? So don't delete them. Just tell us where we can find you. Got it? Let me know in the comments if that makes sense. All right, so that's number one, guys. Really doing this general look at the places that you're playing right now, the networks you're using, and figuring out if you are on the right platforms for your career. Okay? And the question I saw in the chat earlier was, does Twitter even matter? Do I need to be on Twitter? Well, the person that asked that, ask yourself these questions. And I can talk about in the Q&A why Twitter might actually matter for your career. So it may actually be part of your contract. And we'll talk about that later. Okay, so number two, what I want you guys to do is I want you to revisit your bios. Now, if you're joining me today and you are brand new to social media, you can take these 10 steps and you're just gonna visit your bios, okay? You may not be revisiting them, but you can follow along and still do the work if you're brand new. But for everyone that's been on your different platforms for a while, revisit your bios. Make sure it's not the same bio that you wrote 5 years ago when you joined Twitter, because you're not the same actor you were 5 years ago, okay? Make sure they reflect you now, not you a year ago. If you're using hashtags or usernames for your reps or your shows in your bios, check them. Make sure they're up to date. Make sure they're working, because people do change their usernames all the time. And I guarantee you that'd be like the one thing you wouldn't check, right? So check your bios. And I know we got a question ahead of time about how to write a social media bio. I will address that in the Q&A. Specifically, we'll talk about the different things that can go in your bio. But right now, just revisit it. Make sure it reflects the person you are now, not 5 years ago, okay? Next, number 3. Make sure your profile photos are up to date everywhere, okay? These are those little pictures, right? The profile photo, you got one in every single network. And what's funny is I know some of this sounds basic, but some of you are gonna go look at your platforms, you're gonna go, oh wait, I didn't update that one. Oh, I haven't been there in a while. So go to every social network you're on and change the photo. Is it your latest headshot? Or is it a current professional shot that shows us your vibe? It might be the one that's on your website, right? Make sure it is everywhere, up to date, and consistent. Are you being consistent across all your platforms? This is so important. I work in social media full time. This is what I do. So I am on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, all day. I'm very good visually. I'm very good with seeing someone's face and knowing who they are. But I can't tell you how many times I'm talking to the same actor on Twitter that I just talked to on Instagram yesterday, and I have no idea it's the same person because their picture's not the same. And I only have this much to go, to go by. I don't know if you guys can see me right now. I know you see my screen, but I keep them consistent so I know it's you. Okay, don't just assume that on Twitter we're going to have that more commercial shot, and Instagram you want the the more serious look. The only people that are going to know it's you are the people that already know you. But if you're out there networking and trying to get to know people, you are really doing yourself a disservice, and it actually might be why you're not growing your following as fast, which we can talk about as well. So it actually takes between 7 and 12 times to recognize a brand online, and you guys are a brand. So make sure it is just super easy for me to know it's you no matter where I'm at, okay? And while you're at it, let's extend this social media spring cleaning and update, make sure your headshot's updated everywhere during this downtime, right? Look at your websites, look at your casting profiles, look at IMDb, go everywhere and check that headshot. Make sure it is the one that you want to have. And obviously on your casting profiles, you'll have multiple, or your website, you'll have multiple. Make sure they're up to date. Okay. Number 4, we're going to update those headers everywhere. That header photo is like a billboard. It tells us a little bit more about who you are and what you do, right? So first of all, make sure you've created one. Make sure you have something beyond that blue box on Twitter. Make sure it's not, the gray box on Facebook. I always joke that these headers are going to be, they're prime real estate and they're going to be ad space someday. We're so lucky to have this header space, okay? Let me show you some examples, actually. Okay, so here are some of my clients, my students, and you'll see each one of these clearly reflects people's vibe, right? You're seeing Shannon Ames here, Girls Get Loud. Laura, you'd really get her wholesome vibe. I love Wayne's because it's a little dark and mysterious, and it kind of looks like a movie poster. It's awesome. And Michael's hilarious, and we totally are getting his vibe here, right? And here's some more, okay? And they can be as simple as Darren's up here at the top, right? But what's great about headers is that they are a great place for an actor, an artist. I know there's a lot of multi-hyphenates here, for really updating us with your recent news. So you might be a multi-hyphenate and might be a musician. Maybe you tell us about your latest single or your show coming up, obviously when things happen and we're doing shows, but this is the space to do it. We also can announce the shows we're going to be on, obviously, if it's okay to announce them, or maybe you're just saying what you've recently been on. So where our profile photo, that little guy, should stay fairly consistent for brand recognition, we can have a little bit more fun in the header. But we're talking cleanup today. So right now, just make sure that header reflects who you are. It looks professional and shows us your vibe in some way. Okay, now I'm going to give you some tools to make these. What's great is there's an app for everything, and you don't have to be a designer to make these at all. One tool that I love is called canva.com, CANVA.com. You can do a whole lot. I do my YouTube thumbnails on there for my YouTube channel. I do just about everything, and everything's pretty much free unless you want to like buy a picture for $1. But they have templates for all of these. Okay, so canva.com. Or there's another one called Fotor, so FOTOR.com. Okay? Great resources for making something like this. And really quick, like drag and drop template kind of stuff. Okay? All right, I'm going to keep on moving so I can answer as many questions as possible. I see a lot of stuff in the chat. Number 5, we're going to check our links. Okay? Pretty much every platform, because it gives us some kind of link in our bio, right? At least one. So I want you to make sure it is going somewhere. Number 1, utilize it. It should be going to your actor website. If you don't have an actor website, a casting site, an IMDb, your YouTube channel if you have one, if you're actually using it. Maybe another social network, and you can use it to grow that, okay? Just don't leave it blank. It's how people learn more about you. And maybe in the Q&A we'll talk about how to network, and social networking is one of the most important tools for an actor, especially right now. And when you're doing it right, what you're doing is it's actually pull marketing. You're actually pulling people back to you're engaging with them, and you're pulling them back to your social media pages, right? When they get there, your page is not the final destination. You want to have a link that sends them to find out more about you, that sends them to go watch your reel, that sends them to go watch your content, go to your website to find more about you and contact you, okay? So this is so important. Make sure they go somewhere, make sure they work. I cannot tell you how many times I see an IMDb link on social media that does not work. Like maybe once a day. So click through it, make sure it's taking you where you need to be, okay? And make sure you're signed out of your, if you have IMDb Pro, make sure you're signed out of your account when you click on that link. Then you'll know if it's working. Now I'll give you a little resource because it's a little tricky for me to walk you through the process of how to do a proper IMDb link, and it's a little off topic, but important to this. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/Heidi Dean. Just look up social media for actors on YouTube, you will find me. I have a IMDb tutorial that walks you through everything on IMDb, how to optimize it, clean up your first impression there, but I show you how to create the link. So if you have an IMDb link in your bios, go watch that, okay? Another link that a lot of people, it's a little tricky on social media, especially when we're talking Twitter. If you're putting your Instagram link in your bio on Twitter, don't just put your username, guys, because guess what happens? I click on it and I get brought right back to your page on Twitter. It doesn't take me to Instagram. And if your usernames are different on Instagram and Twitter, it just sends me nowhere and tells me this doesn't exist. So if you have the characters in your bio and you want to include your Instagram username, you know, put the link in the bio, okay? And if that wasn't clear, I'll clear it up when I can actually see the chat. All right, so just make sure your links are working, okay? Basic, but you would be surprised. Like I said, I click on actors' pages all the time, every single day, and I can't tell you how many times links don't work. All right, so number 6. We've been kind of talking about, first impression bios, things that are pretty basic things that you need to have set up for your social media. Now we're going to dig in a little bit deeper. We're going to talk about your posts. We're going to talk about tagging. We're going to talk about making sure that first impression is amazing. And some of these things might not look so amazing right now, and it might not be your fault. It might be because somebody else tagged you at a post, right? Someone else put something out there. We're going to talk about that in the next couple numbers. So number 6, I want you to audit your recent post, okay? And really, I want you just to scroll down your grid on Instagram, scroll down your feed on Twitter. You don't have to go crazy and go forever, but ask yourself, do my posts sound like me, right? Very important on Twitter. Do I see you anywhere? Or have you become what I call the retweet robot? I see it all the time. I click over and I'm like, wait, do they post it all? Or is it just other people's posts? And yes, that gives me a little insight into the people you like, but do I hear your voice? Do I see you on the page? So do an audit. Do these posts sound like me? Okay. And so important for this business, does this show my best self? And my best self is different for every single one of us. But just think about it. Would it be okay if your agent, manager, casting director of that dream show or producer of that dream show saw them? Or the producer of your show? Right? If not, do a little cleanup. I say your vibe attracts your tribe. So when you do this post cleanup, I really want you to look at it from that lens. What vibe are you giving off on your account? And is that the vibe of someone you'd want to work with? If not, clean it up, okay? Clean it up a little bit. So we just talked about showing your best self, right? And let's kind of go right into number 7 as well. Number 7, we're going to audit and delete tagged photos. Not all of them. We're just going to edit them and see which ones need to stay. So what I want you to do is I want you to do a Facebook and Instagram audit of all the photos you're tagged in. And I say all, but if you've been on that platform a long time, you might not get to all of them. But just do a little scroll. You'll be able to see from first glance if it's something that that's showing your best self that you want to be a part of. Okay? And really untag yourself from anything that isn't showing you as your best self or isn't you not showing your best self, if that makes sense. Because somebody might also be trying to get on your radar and they've tagged you in their photo, but maybe their photo is inappropriate. Take that away too, because that's your first impression. If I click over, if I'm somebody you want to know and I click over and I see that and I don't know you very well, I might think it's you. Okay? So it's very easy to do this. On Facebook, the slides coming up, guys, there's going to be a lot of things that you can screenshot. Okay? I want to make it as easy as possible with the next couple slides for you to find out where to do these things so you can really do the work. So on Facebook, just go into your photos. It's pretty easy. When you find a photo that you want to untag yourself, there's a little options at the bottom and then hit remove tag. Instagram, just go to your account where you're on your account, you're seeing your post. There's really 3, we all have 3 tabs that we can see. We can see our grid, all our posts. We have IGTV if you have IGTV, and then we have tagged posts right next to that. So go into the tag post and see what you find there, okay? If there's anything you don't want there, click into that post. 3 little buttons on the top right of any post. Go to tag options, then you'll be able to remove yourself from the post, okay? Or even report it if it's something terrible. Hopefully not, right? Now, if you're a little further ahead in your career and you're a public figure and you're getting a lot of traction and a lot of people on your accounts, you may actually want to change the tagging settings so you have to approve tags, or so that you decide who can tag you in a picture, okay? And let me just show you. This is Instagram right now. On Instagram, you're just going to go to those 3 lines and wait to screenshot because wait till it's all up. 3 lines in the corner, you hit settings, privacy. Then we're going to go to tags, and then you're going to have options for your tags. Okay, this is the last one you can screenshot. Okay, so this is on Instagram. This is a creator account. It's not a regular account, but you will get some of the same options. You just might have to find them a little bit differently. Okay, and I did see somebody asked about, should I have a creator or business or regular account in the chat? We'll get to that too at the end. All right, I'm gonna move ahead. Hopefully you screenshotted that. On Facebook, super simple. You just go to the top. This is on desktop. A lot of the ways to untag yourself, it's so much easier to do on desktop, guys. Okay. Go to that little upside down triangle. Go to settings. Then timeline and tagging. That's simple. Okay. And then you can change all your settings there. I'll leave it up for a second. And then we'll look at Twitter, which is actually the harder one to find. All right, and Twitter, lastly, you're just gonna go to that menu bar on the left, and you're gonna hit more, it's what you're not seeing right now, and then settings and privacy, and then privacy and safety, photo tagging, and there it is. It's kind of hidden on Twitter, but you can even decide like only people you follow can tag you, which as your career grows might be a really safe setting. In fact, when you're verified, that you're gonna actually have different tagging options, and that's one of them, okay? I'll leave it up for 1 second, and then we'll keep on going. All right, so casting director Duncan Stewart, as he says here, I'm gonna go halfway through the quote, but you can read the whole thing if you like. He said, those drunken Saturday night pictures of you on Facebook don't necessarily help you when they're viewed by people who may be casting a national tour. Doubt is placed in their minds as to your character for such behavior could impact a touring cast and company. And he's one of the many casting directors who says when they are casting things like this, they will look you up on social media because they want to see what that first impression is. They want to see, is it a liability? You know, are you a liability? Okay. But you won't be after today. That's the good positive thing, right? Number 8. Okay, let's keep on moving. I want you to clean up who you're following. Okay, think about anybody influential on social media. Anybody that has even a little bit of influence has more people following them than they are following. Does that make sense? Now, people always ask me, well, is there a proper ratio? You know, no, just have more people following you than you're following, right? You don't have to be what Taylor Swift and only follow one person. That's, you know, obviously you're interested in more things than that, right? So try to get that ratio in check. The great thing is Instagram just gave us a new feature to do this, like last month. So you can just hop right into who you're following. Okay, and I'll show you on my account here. And you're gonna go right into who you're following. And you can see here, there's a new feature called least interacted with of the people you're following. And this is great because we can go in and they're gonna show us the people we just haven't interacted with. Now, when I went in here the other day, I found like actually colleagues and students and clients in there. And obviously with the algorithm, I wasn't seeing their stuff. So I went in and interacted with them. It was great to be able to get back in there with them. But then there were a ton of people I probably followed like right when I opened my Instagram account, how many years ago? Instagram's a party, guys. And if someone is not joining your party, it is totally okay to unfollow them. And you have to know you can only follow 7,500 people on Instagram before Instagram actually tells you you need to unfollow people. So at some point you'll have to do this. I just like to do it as I go along. It keeps my feed nice and clean. I'm only seeing what I want to see, which is really important right now, right? And also on Twitter, it's very easy to just go in to who you're following. And you can see right here, I can see with the blue button, you obviously know that I'm following them, but it'll tell me if they follow me. And that's a good place to start because then I can see, okay, well, if this person's not that much interested in me, am I really that interested in you, in them, right? And I can clean it up a little bit, all right? Now, don't do this like if you just followed someone, don't give them time to follow you, please, please, please. But most of these people, it was probably ages ago when I followed them. Okay. Now, if you are one of the many actors that I see that is following like 5,000 people on Twitter and you have 500 followers, there is a tool called Tweepy, Tweepi, Tweepy, and it will actually help you sift through all your followers and clean them up. They'll go through and say, okay, these people aren't even active on Twitter anymore. They're not even using your account. Those are good people to unfollow. These people don't interact with you, unfollow. So that might be a good tool if you have, if you're following a lot of people and you need to get this in check. Okay. Now, even more important, guys, with this one, just right now and forever, unfollow or mute if it's somebody that's an important connection for the business. So unfollow or mute anybody who doesn't make you feel empowered, informed, inspired, or anyone that makes you feel like poop, right? Just do it. You don't need that in your feed, okay? All right, number 9, we're almost there. I want you to analyze your post and see what's working. See what's working before you post anything else. A lot of people, not just actors, we just keep posting, and we don't really think like that we should go see like, well, what is our audience responding to? I don't mean just by likes. I mean really diving in and seeing like, okay, what is getting the most views on my web series over on YouTube? What is getting the most comments? What is helping me with the algorithm? We get all this information on the major platforms. On Twitter, we can go right here, and by the end of this, you'll get a screenshot of all three, guys, all three major platforms. So on Twitter desktop, we can go in and just hit more and go to analytics. They're going to tell you your best performing post, which is such valuable information. If you don't know what people are really reacting to, then how do you know what to do more of? Recently, I realized with my YouTube channel that I had started making these like little silly GIFs of me. And every time I use that over just the static YouTube thumbnail, the engagement is through the roof. So now I'm creating more silly GIFs. But I only knew this really by going to my analytics, right? Because we may notice a couple of them did well, but it isn't until the analytics are staring us in the face and they are all the silly GIFs that you go, oh, people want more of that. People like it when I do this, okay? Facebook pages, not profiles. Go to your Facebook page, then go to Insights, and you'll have all sorts of insights about what's getting more reach, what's getting more engagement, what's getting more likes, more shares, more comments, okay? And you'll even be able to see like what type of media it is. Like, does it have a picture? Is it a video? This information, I'm kind of nerding out on you guys. I love analytics, but this information is actually really, when you're trying to wonder, like, is something going on with the algorithm? Go to your analytics, because if you start noticing that like all your posts that are doing really well are all videos, well, it could be that your videos are more engaging, your audience is responding to that, but it could also be that maybe that's what the feed is favoring right now, okay? Our analytics are really, really powerful. And if you have an Instagram business or creator account, you have access to analytics, and you're just gonna go right into the 3 bars at the top, click into that, go to Insights. And what's really cool about these analytics is that we can organize them by, I can look at my grid post, right? And I can literally organize them by comments, by direct message replies, by website clicks. So I can really truly see visually see, because I'll actually see the post, what people are responding to. So I can do more of that, okay? And when you do this, guys, don't just focus on likes. Pay attention to the comments, the shares, the replies, the clicks to your YouTube video, the things that are not passive. Instagram likes are pretty passive. It's why they're getting rid of them. So pay attention to these things where people are actually doing something, okay? So I'll leave this up for 1 second for a screenshot. Oh, and one more thing. On Instagram, if you've got a business or creator post, if you click on any individual post, it'll say See Insights, and you can see this is one of my, I don't know if it's a recent post of mine or what it is, but what it does is it shows me how many likes, how many comments, how many shares, how many saves. So how many people saved this post? On this post, 279 people saved my post. 176 people shared it to stories. That's valuable. That's called, I got a lot of followers on this post and people really responded to it, right? It also will tell us like our engagement, our reach, and the numbers will tell us if our hashtags are working, which we can talk more about in a little bit. And lastly, number 10, we want to do a little double check, right? So let's do a little dress rehearsal, right? Let's see if we're hitting on all our marks, okay? So first thing I want you guys to do is I want you to Google yourself. After you've done all this cleanup, Google yourself and see if you like what you see. And the best way to do this is, it's different on every browser, but try to find a hidden browser and an incognito window, because then your searches aren't going to affect what comes up. It really, truly, will be hopefully what most people see. And what's great is when your social media, like I said, if it's under your name, might be one of the first things that come up. Your bio shows up for Instagram and Twitter. And so you'll really be able to, from like an outside point of view, go, oh, do I like that? If this is the first thing somebody sees, is that cool? Also, you might find that LinkedIn sometimes is the first thing that comes up in search. LinkedIn can be a valuable tool if you have connections on LinkedIn, because that's what social media is. It's about building relationships, But if you haven't used LinkedIn for a while, you're not really using it for your career, go and clean it up. because it may be the first thing that somebody clicks over to, and you'd only know that because of the Google search. I'll give you a resource for that too, because we're not really talking about LinkedIn today. Go to YouTube, look up LinkedIn tips for actors, and I have a video that shows you how to clean up your LinkedIn, okay? And just put Heidi Dean and you'll definitely see it. So it's probably at the top of the search. All right. You can also view Facebook pages, Facebook profiles, and YouTube channels as a visitor. So you can see on the screen, you can just click those 3 little buttons when you're on your page, and you can see view a page as visitor. So then you're really going to truly see, especially on a Facebook page, what people are seeing first. You can reorder all that stuff on a Facebook page. Yet another thing we can talk about in Q&A. Because you always want to be directing people to the thing you want them to see first, right? Whether that's your reel or if you're creating content, where is that? Make sure we're seeing that first. And if you have a YouTube channel, you have a similar setting. You go to customize channel on the brand new YouTube studio that is brand new as of this month, and you hit view as yourself or view as new visitor, returning subscriber. And this time we're going to want to see new visitor, right? And see what your first impression is on your channel. I think a lot of you will be surprised. So that's the double check I want you to do after you do all this work. And then I want you to extend this, guys. Got some time right now, right? Let's extend this spring cleaning to all your other marketing materials. Okay? Meaning your casting profiles, meaning your actor website. That's not forget it, just create it and forget it. That website might need to be updated. So make sure you update it, okay? All right, but overall, guys, with everything we talked about today, run it through that filter, make sure everything shows your best self. Choose the right platforms for you guys. Revisit your bios today, update your profile photos and your headers, check your links, audit your posts, make sure they sound like you, make sure they show your best self. Look at those tagged posts, untag anything that can keep you from working, and clean up your followers, analyze your post, and then do the double check. And then you're gonna rinse and repeat this every spring and fall. Okay? Something you should go back at least once a year and check. Okay? I'll leave this up for a second. And have a sip of coffee. Woo! Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Because if you guys need this list, I can email it to you or we can put it in the chat. We'll get it to you in some way. Or just screenshot it real fast. All right. So guys, just make sure you have a few seconds to make a first impression. So I want you just to promise me in the chat, pinky swear, say I promise. What are you going to work on today? Promise me that you're going to at least do one of these things today. Because right now, like I said, the only way people are finding out about you, the only way you're making a first impression is online. And when all of this is over, they're still looking you up online. So let's make sure it looks awesome. Okay? So let me know in the chat where you're going to clean up and pinky swear with me that you will. All right, let's do some Q&A. Let me figure out how to stop sharing.
Oh, this is so great, Heidi. Thank you so much. And so I'll try to get through as many questions as I can. I would try to check the most general ones so they can reach the most folks. But Heidi, I did want to remind you, you had mentioned a couple times, you were going to mention best practices for writing a bio. Social networking is an important tool for actors. And those are 2 things you had said that you might come back to. So I want to remind you of that.
Yeah, well, let me start with bios because that will be really pretty quick, and then we'll get to questions. So your bios on social media, guys. Well, first of all of your social media should be a good balance of who you are as an actor and who you are as a human. You should be giving us a backstage pass into your actor's life, but also a backstage pass into who you are, okay? Look at anybody who you follow on social media that you admire, no matter what part of their career they're at. The ones that are being successful are not just sharing about their actor's life, okay? It's also gonna help you always have ideas to post when you're posting about things besides your bookings that you cannot control, right? So that extends to your bios, right? So your bios should, number one, could contain keywords. So keywords that help us key into what you do, how you fit into the business. Yes, Tom Hanks does not have to tell us he's an actor in his bio, Why? Because he's Tom Hanks, right? But you should in some way say that you're an actor. Twitter bios are searchable. So actually saying that you are a voice actor or an actor, actually putting those keywords in your Twitter bio actually can help you come up in search, okay? Instagram bios, the only two things that are searchable in your Instagram bio, at least right now, are your username and your name, okay? So adding a keyword possibly to your name or username may help you come up in search, but actually adding it to your bio helps people key into what you do and how you might fit into the business, but it doesn't help you come up in search on Instagram, okay? So keywords, put them in your bio. Associations. So who are you associated with? Maybe you're a SAG-AFTRA actor, right? An association on Twitter, you could use the username, the handle. I speak a lot for Backstage Magazine on social media. So like I have in my bio that I'm a writer for at Backstage. That helps me on Twitter associate my account with this very large account on Twitter. And guess what? When you look up Backstage on Twitter, guess who comes up too? Right? Because of associations. Instagram though, be careful putting too many usernames and hashtags in your bio on Instagram. My YouTube video this week talks about this actually, talks all about hashtags for actors. When we put hashtags and usernames in our Instagram bio, they are clickable and they don't help us come up in search, guys. So really the only thing they do is people land on your bio and then they really want to click them. I always want to click them when I see them, right? Those highlighted hashtags, those highlighted usernames, and it sends them away. So on Twitter, they're clickable, but they help you show up in search. So use them, hashtags, usernames, and bios, right? Instagram, they don't help you show up in search. They're clickable, they send people away. As I say in my most recent YouTube video, the exception for this would be if you have content. So you might create a branded hashtag for your content. That is totally cool. Put that in your bio because when I click over, I'm going to see a feed of just your stuff. If you're in a show, on a show, and when I click over to that feed, I might see pictures of you, go for it. Include it in your bio. If not, on Instagram, maybe just include the name of the show, okay? So keywords, associations, those are two things we can put on our bio, but those are probably more actor related, right? Include some interest, okay? And this is a whole nother topic, which we might get to about what to post. We need to see some different parts of who you are as a human. We're gonna see them in your feed. Put them in your bio. Your bio is a preview for what to expect from your post. If you're really upfront in your bio that, hey, I am an actor, content creator, and I love gardening, well, then when you are taking a picture in your garden with some flowers, we're not surprised, right? We know that that's just something that's a part of you. It's also a talking point. I think presently I'm a lover of coffee and cowboy boots, because I have quite a large cowboy boot collection, 31 pairs right now. So, and you'll never see me go live without coffee. So that's a connection point in my bio. Simple things, but I can't tell you how many people follow me and be like, oh, I love cowboy boots, or of course I like coffee. I think I had Indian food in there for a while, and people were like, I love Indian food. It's a connection point, a talking point beyond your actor's life, okay? So make sure you have keywords, associations, interest. And then, of course, if your reps are on social media, you might be able to connect, to put them in there. That's an exception, too, because on Instagram, of course, if you have your reps there, well, that might be a reason somebody might click through to contact your reps, right? Reps and shows would be the other thing to put in your bio, okay? That was a longer explanation because now I have to do Twitter and Instagram separate.
It was awesome. And there is kind of a follow-up question about hashtags because someone was asking basically how to find the best ones. Should I Google up to like 10 hashtags that are related to the post and see what's trending, or what are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, I'm going to tell you to go watch my 11-minute video on hashtags that came out this week, but I'll give you an answer because that's probably going to be about the best answer you could possibly get. They're different on different platforms, and that's what that video talks about. What I really suggest you do is you go into the platform, like if we're talking Instagram hashtags, just go into search and look at tags. So go into the little, if people that are newer to Instagram, go into the little magnifying glass on the top, on the bottom, and then go to search, and you'll be able to search tags. Pick a tag, any tag, like for your acting. It could be a big one to start with. Pick acting, and then you can scroll through related tags and see what's there. Start writing them down. This is a big topic. Carlos, you know this is a big topic. I'm seeing your face right now because you've heard me talk about it. Hashtags on Instagram, guys, are like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, okay? You remember that story? So Goldilocks, she breaks into the Three Bears' house. She like sits in their chairs, eats their food, sleeps in their beds. It's totally scandalous. I will never let my 5-year-old watch that or read that book. So hashtags on Instagram are exactly the same, right? So what a lot of you guys are doing, and it's why you're not seeing follower growth with your Instagram hashtags, is you're only focusing on these hashtags that are too big, or you're only using these hashtags that are too small, right? You need to find hashtags in the middle with search results that are just right for your account, okay? So what I'm seeing a lot of you doing, you're only using hashtag actors life, hashtag acting, hashtag model, hashtag, I have 37 million posts for hashtag acting, guys. The top post, there's 2 feeds in hashtag search on Instagram. There's top and recent. Now top, you're not probably gonna rank for it unless you have a big following and a lot of engagement. You're just starting, you're probably not gonna rank for it. We'll just be real. Recent, on a hashtag with 37 million posts, that feed moves really fast. And this is what I show you in the video I told you about on my YouTube channel. That feed moves so fast. On hashtag acting, you may sit in that hashtag feed for 30 seconds if you're lucky, and then you're gone. You're like way, way down. So you're not really having a chance for anybody to see your post, right? Because you're focusing on these really big tags. If you find tags that have a little less search results, but people are still searching for them, so we're talking like 10,000 posts to 500,000, it'll be different depending on how big your following is. There's a better chance that you're gonna sit and search for longer. And when we're talking about you can use up to 30 tags on a post, if they're relevant, well, just do the math. You're gonna sit in a bunch of hashtag searches for longer. So hashtags on Instagram, I want you guys to change your recipe. You can still use those big hashtags, but only use a couple of them because you're still gonna show up in the search, right? But the main bulk of that recipe that you're making with your hashtags is those just right tags. Then a sprinkle of those big guys, a little dash of the branded ones that just help categorize your post. Hashtag Heidi Dean, you know, hashtag voiceovers by Andre, I don't know, whatever, you know, whatever that is for you. It helps categorize your post, but it's not helping you grow your following really. That's your recipe. Really try to focus on these hashtags that people are looking for, but are not as well trafficked, right? You will start, remember I talked about analytics, you're gonna start to see on Instagram that the reach through hashtags is gonna start going up. The amount of people, the percentage of people in your analytics that are finding your account through hashtags is gonna go up. So think about Goldilocks and the Three Bears when you're using Instagram hashtags. And really the best way to do it is just to go in and find them. Go in and find them. You know, when I work with clients and in my classes, I give you big lists, but that have been researched. But like, obviously, if you're not working with me, just do the research. The problem is that when you go to a lot of those sites that have hashtag lists, a lot of them are only giving you the most popular tags. So they're kind of sabotaging you unless you have a huge following, okay? Site like Right Tag, R-I-T-E, right, tag, T-A-G, righttag.com shows you hashtags, and they actually do put actually search volume. So something that's helpful if you need a tool. Okay.
Amazing. I posted your YouTube channel in the chat so people have access to that. And I also included, Heidi's been on a couple of amazing panels for us, and one was all about self-promotion and best practices. And so I included that link in the chat as well. So I highly recommend checking that out. It's a really good panel. There were a lot of questions on the professional versus personal. Some folks are like, I really like to get political, especially now. What are your thoughts on that?
Very good question, something I'm asked all the time. Should I post about politics? I'll give you 2 answers. The first answer is I don't want you guys to lose your voice, okay? So if you are going to post about anything controversial, try to post about what you're for instead of what you're against, okay? Because your whole vibe of your account's gonna be different. The problem with the politics is we get passionate and we get angry sometimes. And then we post about it, and now someone comes to our page that doesn't know us, that's in the industry, and now they're like, wow, this guy had a bad day. This guy's not very nice. And you may be the nicest person in the world, but that's what we're seeing. But if you're always thinking about what you're posting for instead of what you're against, at least you're gonna be coming at it from the positive. And guess what? I know it's hard to believe on social media, but positive messages spread faster than negative messages. So if you're posting from the positive, it's actually more likely that someone's going to spread that message and your voice will be heard. Okay? That's one answer. The other answer is I sit on a whole lot of panels all over the country and I speak. And when I speak, sometimes it's right after a panel. And I can tell you when anybody in the industry, most of them answer this question, they, especially agents and managers, they say don't post about politics. So I'm going to give you both answers. Know that if you decide to start posting about controversial topics, at some point it may keep you from an opportunity because not everyone in this business has your same views. You might think they do, but they don't. There's producers, there's all sorts of people that have all different views, right? So just know that at some point it might keep you from an opportunity. And if that is important to you enough, that, if politics is that important to you, then go for it. Okay? But try to do it from the positive. So, but I will tell you, a lot of the advice out there is to not do it. I mean, even like Sophie Turner, Game of Thrones, she was asked to stop posting about politics at some point because it was, really the audience for the show was very mixed. People that had all different political beliefs. So, you're hearing it, you hear stories like that all the time. So she was asked to tone down the political post. So
can you talk about how to get verified?
Sure. Well, do we know how many followers this person has or?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Instagram now, which is amazing, in the past year, you can actually go into your Instagram settings and request to be verified. It's right in your settings, guys. I can't show you a screenshot, but just go and you'll find it in your settings and just go around. And there is requests for verification. Okay. Do not ask to be verified if you don't do the work we did today. Okay. You have to have a profile photo. You've got to have a bio. Another important thing we'll talk Instagram first. Another thing is like how many, you can see at the top of your Instagram, like how many visits you're getting. Instagram's going to look at that. So if you're only getting like 2 profile visits, you probably aren't going to get verified, especially if you don't have a big following right now. The reason why verification exists is that we're verifying that you're a public figure because other people may be setting up accounts under your name. That is why the verification system exists. It exists for public figures. Right now, if you're not at that point in your career yet that people would be making up pages for you, yet, you will be there, then it may not be time to request verification. Okay, go for it. Try it on Instagram, but they will look you up. They're going to look for search, how you're being searched all over the internet. The best and easiest way to get verified, though, is if you are on a show, guys. So if you actually end up being a guest star or something, or recurring, obviously a series regular, talk to the PR for the show. Or obviously, if you're on a national tour or Broadway show, talk to PR about getting verified. They have ins to get you verified. Okay, that's the easiest way. But yes, on Instagram, you can go apply to be verified. Twitter, because of all the politics stuff in the last year, they've suspended the verification process right now, unless you actually work for a company or, or through PR, you can get verified, but you can't actually request verification anymore on Twitter. So I don't know who asked the question, how many followers they have, how much traffic they have, but clean up your social media, request verification in Instagram, and then, find somebody in PR if you're on a show, because that's the easiest way. That's the easiest answer to give you guys. So.
Do you recommend any sites like Hootsuite for scheduling? Is there a good free low-cost alternative to Hootsuite?
Yeah, I love schedulers. I'm all about working smarter, not harder on social media. The reason I like Hootsuite is actually not for the scheduling, it's for the streams. So Hootsuite, guys, if you don't know what Hootsuite is, it is it's a scheduler, a social media scheduler. You can schedule on all the major networks. It kind of takes a little pressure off. You can kind of queue up posts and send them out when you want them. Hootsuite has these cool streams where you can actually look at like hashtag streams. So you can put hashtag actors life and see all the posts there. I can literally make a dashboard of my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook, all in one. So I can really go in, really easy, see everything, and then get out. So that's my favorite part of Hootsuite. Hootsuite's a good option, guys. Cheaper, good for actors. Hootsuite, Buffer. Uffer, just like it sounds. That's a good option. There's Cinch Share, CINCH. So Cinch Share also has a good, cheaper option for actors. If we're talking just Instagram, I use a tool called Planoly. Plan, O-L-Y. Okay, there's also something called Later. It does a very similar thing. And what's great about Planoly is I can actually plan out my grid and my stories. It saves me so much time. I could literally queue up posts for like forever and drag them down and drop them around and then have them ready to go when I need them. This can be really great as an actor because obviously you can't always share things when you snap them, right? So maybe you were on set and you took some photos. You can queue them up for when you need them. Okay, so it's very good for that. You can do photo shoots. You can take the out of your Instagram, take a picture, share it in a couple weeks, queue it up on your Instagram. On your Planoly. Okay, let me see if I can get my Planoly up so you can actually see it. The saddest thing is, though, it's not a sad thing. I just lost 25 pounds. Melissa and I were just talking about that since the fall, and that's not sad. That's good. But I had like hundreds of posts queued up, like. I had taken pictures when I was in Miami, all sorts of stuff. And like, I'm like, oh, I can't use my queue anymore because I don't look like myself. So anyway, this is Planoly. You can kind of, I don't know if you guys can see that. So it's like a queue. There we go. So it's just a big queue. Of course, I'm live, so it's not. These are just all sorts of quotes I have queued up and old pictures of me now that I can't use. But you can see that it is, I can just add to it, drag and drop, and then send it out when I need it. So that's Planoly. Later is very much like that as well. Okay? Schedulers are awesome.
Awesome. I've heard you talk about this on other panels, but I've seen a couple people ask about websites. And do you think they're important now that we have all this social media?
I think a website is a great hub for all your marketing materials. Like social media, where are you going to put your resume? Right? Yeah, you can pin your reel up to the top, but there's other distractions, right? Even YouTube, if you send me to YouTube to watch your reel, there's going to be a suggested video popping up right after. There might be an ad that pops up at some, well, not unless you're monetized, but there's going to be things popping up. There's going to be a bunch of stuff on the right suggesting all these other videos of other people that they might like their favorite show, Ozark or something, they might not watch your reel. Right? So the good thing about a website is you control that real estate. Okay? So you can decide what they see. You can decide what story you're telling. You can make sure all your marketing materials are there, your resume and reels, videos. You can decide how to tell your story there. So that's the good thing with social media. With your website. And I think a website and a social media, it's kind of like, I look at it as like the ebb and flow of the ocean. So like social media, we're constantly sending people to our website, especially if you have content, right? And then our website, we're constantly sending people to our social media by telling them to share and by having our icons everywhere. So it's kind of websites send you to your social media sends you back to your website. So it's so cheap to make a website now. There's actually like free webforactors.com, like free websites like Wix. There's all sorts of, I have a YouTube video about what should be on your website, and I suggest and a video that talks about 5 ways to market your career for free, and I talk about free websites for actors, so just go look at that. But I think it can be a valuable tool. So, and especially when your career grows, I don't know if she still does, but Kerry Washington has a website, and she talks about the charities and the causes that she cares about on that website. If you are a multi-hyphenate and multi-artist and you also do music, you need a website, right? And it's a great way just to control the conversation about you, okay? If anything, grab your URL, especially if you are a child actor, because if you don't, your career will take off and someone else will, and they will make that site about whatever they want. So grab yourname.com, okay?
Yep, and I know some people put this in the chat, but the foundation has, through the Computer Lab, offers classes on building websites too, so definitely check that out. Just a few more, Heidi, is that cool?
Not a problem at all. I'm actually just writing my husband and daughter saying, I'm still on,
Okay, so how about just 2 more? Because I don't want to keep you. I know you're very generously giving us your time. This is probably a common question you get asked too. How often to post, and are there specific times?
There is not a specific time for everybody. So every time you see an article that says the best times on Twitter are between 3 and 6, run the other way. That article is not for you. That article is probably for businesses. That's who writes those articles. Most of the social media advice out there is for businesses. It's not for actors and artists. So really, when you look at those, they're saying, oh, look, it's when people get up in the morning, and it's when people take that lunch break, and when people get out of work and they're heading home. Well, who is your audience? Especially when you're starting out on social media, a lot of your audience is going to be other artists and actors that you've worked with. They may not have that same 9-to-5 schedule, right? So don't ever read an article like that and listen to it. What you need to do is go into your analytics that we already talked about, right? That screenshot, if you took it, that same place where you find out the engagement analytics on Facebook also has the best times to post. If you have a business or creator account on Instagram, guess what? They have this graph that tells you the best days to post, the best times. Now I would always experiment, but like my account clearly says that like 3 o'clock is a very good time for me on certain days. And that makes sense to me because I have a huge audience in LA, which makes sense. And I have a big audience in New York, but my biggest audience is in LA, right? So it would make sense that, 12 o'clock, no matter what profession you're in, might be a time that people might be on. And that's why it's 3 o'clock, because it's in my time zone. I'm in New York. So so our analytics give us those insights. It's also going to help when you go into your analytics. Twitter, some people on Twitter have, I have it. I can go into my to my settings, and they'd show me a graph of best time to post. Now I have an ads account, so that might be why I have special stuff that people tell me they can't find anywhere. But you can use a tool called Follower Wonk. I'm always full of tools here. Follower Wonk, just like it sounds. And it will tell you, it will analyze your account as long as you have 100 followers or more. And it will tell you the best times to post for your Twitter account. You can actually link it up to your schedulers too, if you're using a scheduler. And then it'll post at those times. So that it's just valuable information going into the analytics and looking at these. It sounds nerdy and it sounds like too much, but I mean, really, if you're posting about something that's important to you, or whether it's a web series, a show, or just something in your life, wouldn't you want to post at the best time so more people see it, right? You're going to start noticing you'll get more engagement that way. Okay. And you'll start noticing patterns. I actually found out I have this big audience in London that loves me. Awesome. Someone hire me and fly me out to London in 6 months. I want to go to London. And I found that out because with my analytics, I was like spiking at weird times that like, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense that like I'd have that many people responding at that time. But the graphs on Follower Wonk showed me, oh, look, you've got this big audience in London. So all good information to know, right, guys? So that was part one, what times to post. How often to post? I would have to know who you are and how many followers you have, what platforms we're talking about, what engagement are you getting right now on your post? The biggest thing I see actors doing is they're focusing on like just getting posts out there, like on this, quantity of posts. They were told somewhere that they needed to post every day, everywhere. And they're frustrated because they're like trying to post, how many posts would that be? Like I'm not even doing math right now. 90 posts all month if you're on 3 platforms, and they're getting burnt out, and their posts don't even their audience isn't even responding to them. They're just posting for the sake of posting, right? So that's my question to you, is the person that asked, like, what's your engagement right now on this post? You can write on Instagram, you can post 2 times a week. I've actually cut way back down to 2 times a week on my grid, on the feed. And my engagement's so much better. I'm really focusing on telling stories in that caption and connecting with people, and actually connecting with the people that are commenting. And then I'm spending more time on stories, right? And less pressure there anyways, it disappears, right? So it's really different for everybody, and that's something you're gonna have to test. But a lot of you guys can actually post less than you're posting right now. Okay, you're an actor. You're not a full-time marketer. You're not, you need to use it to stay top of mind. And that doesn't mean you need to post every day. And you can still grow your following without posting every day, guys. It's actually about engaging more and posting less. Post less, engage more with your target audience.
And Heidi was also on a panel on growing your social media following. I included that in the chat. Obviously, folks that are going to be watching this after, go to our YouTube channel. Even if you just search under Heidi's name, or how to grow your social media following, as well as it's something about like building authentic self promotion. You'll find two great panels that are actually answering a lot of the questions that I'm seeing here in the chat. So I know there were a lot of questions we were able to get to. Do you have, for the last question, Heidi, do you have any kind of parting ideas, thoughts on engaging with casting directors on social media? I mean, do you tag them in things? Do you think that they care about the number of followers you have? Any best practices there?
Woo, you just opened
I know.
Well, okay. This is going to be a big parting message then. Do they care about followers? They don't all care about followers, but I can tell you that followers do get people cast in anything from web series to blockbusters to Broadway. It's just a fact. It's the business really hasn't changed much, guys. We just have different metrics now. So the business has always been it's been a popularity contest. Now we just have different metrics. Okay. So that's the reality. However, I feel like the conversation for actors kind of gets stuck on this follower topic. It's not, it's not all about followers, guys. The other reasons like you should be on social media, and why I'm glad you guys are here and you're doing this work, is that it's part of your job as an actor. Like your next contract could seriously have posting guidelines, posting requirements. You could be doing an Instagram takeover and live tweeting. I know, because it's why I get clients directly from reps, because the new client like is barely on Instagram and they were asked to do an Instagram takeover, or their whole cast is live tweeting and they don't know how to use Twitter, right? So it's actually becoming part of your job. So, followers aside, you can grow your own following. That's like, just go to my YouTube. I got tons of videos on that. I think it's a powerful thing, actually. In the past, you used to you didn't have to wait for the phone to ring. There was no way you can grow an audience for yourself, really. But now you can actually grow an audience around the things you're passionate about and your work, and that's power. So don't look at the followers thing as a bad thing. Take it in your own hands and start growing an audience for yourself, right? And no, it is part of your job, okay? That's the followers part. What was the other part of that question?
I think about tagging them and engaging casting directors.
Casting directors. Okay, so I actually just went live about this on Tuesday for Backstage about how to properly network. Really, you got to know three things, guys. You got to get really targeted about who you want to meet, okay? Because just like following random casting directors on Twitter and engaging with them is actually a waste of time. You need to get super targeted on who do you want to meet. Think about the projects you want to be a part of. What are they? Who casts them? Who directs them? Who writes them? And think low-hanging fruit. Think like not just the biggest casting director, the biggest director. Who are the other people attached to that project? If you do musical theater, I know we have equity members here too. Like, who is the assistant choreographer, the assistant musical director? Those people are going to be the musical director in like another show just down the road. They're also the future casting directors, the future, the assistants, the associates. So who do you want to meet? Then you got to know where to find them, which is a whole nother topic for another day. Because there's different types of social media networks. Really the best place to meet somebody new, Twitter and Instagram. They're not gated. They're not networks like based on the graph search like LinkedIn and Facebook, where it's really friends. You really connect and follow or connect and friend people that or friends of friends right? So really it's Twitter and Instagram, these guys right here, that it's easier to find these people and to develop relationships. So figure out who you want to know, do the research. There's tons of tools, IMDb, Casting About, Futon Critic, Google search. Who do you want to meet? Where to meet them? These platforms are better. And then how to reach out. Tagging casting directors that you do not know is not the best way to build a relationship, because that is all about you, right? You need to start using your social media, and I think I say this in one of the panels. You need to start connecting more like a telephone than a television. You guys are broadcasting, a lot of you are broadcasting your projects and things that you're doing at people instead of actually like making your connections with people like a telephone and actually talking with people. And that could even be like texting, not just on the phone, right? So when you tag someone in your post that you don't know, you're pretty much saying, hey, notice me, right? but it's all about you. And if they don't know you, they're really thinking what's in it for them, right? You need to develop that relationship first. So the best way, like I said, is to make that target list, figure out who you want to know, figure out where to develop that relationship in these ungated platforms, and then add value to their conversation every day. Maybe not every day, a couple times a week. Make a Twitter list of these people, make a saved collection on Instagram, make a friend list of these people. And that got a little technical. If you guys don't know some of that stuff, it's on my YouTube channel. But make it a point a couple times a week to join their conversations, to like their post, to comment, to join their world before you ever ask something for yourself. And sometimes I hear people say, well, but I should be able to stand up for myself and just ask for it. You can, but as somebody who has 35,000 followers on Instagram, a gazillion on Twitter, 30,000 on Twitter, and I have people tagging me in posts all the time. I have people asking for favors all the time. My direct message inbox right now is ridiculous, right? Somebody that you're trying to network with is probably going to be in the same boat. They might even have a bigger audience than me. And you start to tune out messages like that just naturally because you have to see the stuff that really matters. So if you start, this is the longest answer ever, Melissa, but you opened the can of worms. I can't answer networking in 1 minute. You really just need to start adding value to their conversation, get on their radar by joining their conversation. And there's more specific ways to do it, but the example of tagging is not always the way to go. If you know them, sure, but if you don't, there are better ways to get on somebody's radar. Build that relationship first, okay?
Heidi, I'm so sorry. I do have to ask you one more question because we've gotten so many questions about it, so I'm sorry, folks, for making you wait. It's the question about creator or professional accounts on Instagram.
Yes, I knew we were going to get that. So there's actually 3 types of accounts now on Instagram. We've got the good old regular account, we have a creator account, and we have a business account, okay? And not everybody has access to the creator account yet, but most people do. The reasons why you might choose one or the other. I have a video of it on my channel, by the way, to get the full answer. I'm not plugging it, just like if you want a 11-minute really detailed answer, go there. I'll give you the quick 2-minute answer. If you are a content creator, you may want to monetize. You may, at some point, you may want to create custom audiences of people that go to your website or interact with your content, right? You will need a business account for that, okay? If you want to use a scheduler and actually have the post like scheduled and go there to Instagram without you thinking about it, I think you should still be there to engage with them. But if you want it to magically appear on your Instagram, schedule it, forget it, you need a business account, okay? You can use a creator account with a scheduler, but what happens is you get this little, like, you say, I want to post it at 12 o'clock, and it doesn't automatically post. You get like a little notification on your phone, and you have to manually post it, okay? So if you want a little bit more hands-off, you need a business account. Business accounts and creator accounts, you get really cool filtering on your inbox. So like I can write, like I can flag messages, I can like have unread messages, which Lord knows my direct messages need that right now. So you get different filtering options. You get cool things like branded replies. So like, you know, autocorrects, which are awesome. Sometimes you can actually set up autocorrects for your Instagram on a business account. It's really cool. So if you're constantly telling people, like if you're a content creator, you might be constantly sending them to different links for, your web series or your YouTube channel, you can actually have those like auto paste right into Instagram. You need a business account unless they changed that in the last week. Business and creator account, not a regular account. If you want to be an influencer and you want to do branded collaborations, you're going to need, you can't have a regular account. That has to be on a creator account. Trying to think of any other obvious thing. The analytics on creators and business accounts are just awesome. And just so you guys know, recently the Instagram creators came out on the creators account, which if you don't follow it, you should. It's #creators on Instagram. And they actually were dispelling all these algorithm myths. And it was great because they literally busted every myth that was just made up and silly that people were talking about Instagram. One of them was, they said right now, whether you have a regular account, a business account, or a creator account, they show up the same in the feed. And I know that's everyone's big concern is if Instagram is owned by Facebook. What happened to Facebook pages, right? Facebook page reach is pretty dead. They want you to pay for ads. Right now, that's not the case on Instagram. And I have toggled back and forth through all 3 accounts over and over again and tested this, and I haven't seen any difference. So it doesn't mean it won't change in the future. It doesn't mean that it won't go the way of a Facebook page. But for right now, engagement is the same. Okay, it might be your strategy if you're on a different account. So that's kind of the Reader's Digest version of which one should be on. It's really different for everybody. Personally, I like to have the analytics. I just think it's so useful that I will never go back to a regular account.
Amazing. Well, we will let you go. Thank you so much for all of your time, and we really, really appreciate it. And there was so much good stuff there. And everybody, like I said before, we will be sending you the recording, hopefully within 48 hours. It'll be sent out in an e-blast, so keep an eye out for that. And everyone be well and stay safe. And thank you again, Heidi.
Thank you. I'll see you guys on social. Bye.